One of the difference between a 4-figure business and an 8-figure business is branding. But what is branding? Everyone comes along and says, build a brand, build a brand, build a brand. But what does that actually mean? Most people define it as a logo, but it's not that. It can be a symbol representing a company, but it's not that. Branding is anything that causes you to change your action. In other words, a reputation that causes you to change your action. For instance, branding originates from the prehistoric days. In the ancient times, once you find a branded cow, you would return it to the owner as opposed to eating it or killing it, whatever. So it changes your action. You understand this concept fundamentally. Most of you have been to the store, and sometimes you go with a limited budget. Even after the whole budgeting and drafting, you still come up short. Why is that? It's not limited to inflation alone, but this idea of branding, because you got the branded version of those groceries or objects you decided to purchase. For instance, you got the branded olive oil as opposed to the normal olive oil. You got the branded oats, the brand that you're more familiar with as opposed to other brands. So it changes your action. Now, I won't be specific with my examples. I don't want to promote any brand, which is the first thing, but it changes your action. If I take this auxiliary power bank and I brand a Nike swoosh, it sells 100 times more. So if one simple tweak can give me 100 times of profit without necessarily changing the product, that's something you want to pay attention to. Branding. A study was conducted years ago. The interviewer took 2 plain hoodies, something like what I'm putting on, but plain. Went to the street, asked strangers to make a choice. Random choice, nobody cares. Phase 2, she did something cheeky. She adorned one of the hoodies with a Gucci logo. Repeated the same process. Guess what 90% of individuals pick? Exactly. So without the change of the product, just one tweak, and it changed the whole choice of every single person. Maybe it ties back to the fact that we as humans buy things because of how they make us feel. Not necessarily because of the value we derive from the product, but we have this concept to spend more on anything that increases our social standing. For instance, when you go out and buy something, at the back of your mind, there's someone you want to show off that product to. Many of you might lie to yourself and say, comfort, 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 comfort. Yes, it's comfortable, but when you go out and purchase that jewelry to impress the divorced lady in the adjacent cubicle, you might lie to yourself, it's a hedge against inflation, but that's the truth. That's the truth. It also ties back to the fact that anything that aids convenience in life brings status. If you go out and get a $10 million mansion, it is comfortable. The byproduct is status. Many will see you as extravagant, some attention seeking, but all of this is just a byproduct of human nature. This is something marketers and psychologists have integrated in their sales, in the sales of products. Say a bro wants to sell you a golf course. Imagine how your bodies are going to be impressed when they see your swing improve by X amount, and they're going to be all over you asking, how did you learn this? And as one fundamental rule in sales is, once you can get your potential customers to see himself using your product, it is done. You sold him on it. Finished. So that's one angle. Another angle is this concept. It bolsters up this idea I expound to you, which is perception. How it makes them feel. They feel the social standing is going to be elevated by engaging this product. That's why they buy. That's the whole purpose of branding. You understand this concept is true. You know what I'm saying is right. So instead of bemoaning it, instead of trying to pretend as though it doesn't exist, instead of doing all of that and engaging in all of that drama, use it to your advantage. Like the example of the Nike swoosh I just gave. You make 100 times profit and without changing anything significantly. But most of you, the problem I see with you is you are freelancing your way through branding. You are not intentional about the brand you want to create. You just hope to do so many things and expect the public to interpret your moves such that they give you a name, then you begin operating within that box in which they have confined you in. Today you're giving loads of money to charity. The next day you're seen in a baseball court. Branding, your brand has to represent something. Yes, you might have subsequent services or different vehicles, but all of those vehicles have to align to a single vision. For instance, Gucci has so many subsidiaries, so many luxury brands, but there's Gucci clothes, Gucci belts, Gucci shoes. All of them are different outlets, but they still partner with the same vision. It's the same with you. Even though you're playing the long-term game and your brand would have so many outlets or represent different things, but it has to resonate with something singular. The second advice is, so you've struggled, you've worked your way up the ladder, you've built this brand finally. What you have to pay attention is to guard your reputation. Guard it with every single thing you got, because reputation is the cornerstone of power. For instance, if you saw on the news that a dead fly was found in one of McDonald's burgers, I guarantee you, not only would sales plummet, the next time you go out to buy a burger, you check inside with your phone on. Yeah, so guard your brand. Make sure your reputation is unassailable. Identify different things that might inadvertently or advertently thwart all your hard work and effort and destroy every single thing you have artfully created. I'll share this story and call it a day. During the wars of the Three Kingdoms, this general, Shuko-Liang, leader of the Shu Kingdom, one day he dispatched his vast army in a neighboring state while he rested in a small town with a handful of soldiers. Suddenly, sentinels hurriedly rushed in with this alarming news. Over 150,000 enemy troops were approaching the camp. With only 100 men, Luko Chang's situation was hopeless. Finally, this renowned leader would be captured. Without lamenting its fate or trying to figure out how he had been caught, Liang ordered the troops to take down the flag, throw open the city gates, and hide. He himself took a seat on the most visible part of the city's wall, wearing a Taoist robe. He lit some incense, strummed his flute and began to chant. Minutes later, he could hear the vast army approaching. Pretending not to notice them, continued strumming his flute and chanting. As the troops arrived at the city's gate, the leader, Siyi, who was also a skilled general, recognized the man at the wall. Even so, his troops, who itched to enter the unguarded town, he hesitated. He told them to wait. After studying Lu Koyang, he ordered an immediate and speedy retreat. Lu Kochiang, famously known as the Sleeping Dragon, was known for his legendary exploits in battle. Once a man claimed to be a disaffected lieutenant soliciting for asylum in exchange for information, Lu Kochiang signaling his understanding of the situation. A false deserter, he deserves to be beheaded. Just about as the axe is to fall, he quickly spared the man's life in exchange that he worked as a double agent. The man agreed because a man suddenly spared of the guillotine is a grateful man indeed. He won battle after battle with different strategies, so his reputation preceded him. It's the same thing with brand. Brand your impact. Have a reputation that precedes you, and you'll be fine. And as always, my friend, it's a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one.